Hi, I'm Estelle. Thank you so much for joining me on your yoga mat today for our practice. Today's class is inspired by the fall equinox, which is taking place this week. And this is a moment when the day and the night are perfectly in balance. They're the closest, most equal time that we get all year. And it's an important moment of transition from the long, bright, sunny days, hot days of the summer, and the short days and the cool, long, cold nights of the winter. So it's a time to take stock. It's a time to take a moment and notice what's working for your life and what isn't working. And maybe you want to find a little bit more balance in things and just be thoughtful about as we head into this period that is cooler and darker. What do you want to be doing differently in your life that really cares for you and makes sure that your needs are being met, that you're loving yourself sufficiently, that you're finding ways to find joy throughout your day in your life. So today's class will focus on balance and transitions, and I would really invite you to set an intention for this class to focus on the transitions in between the poses, not finding the pose itself as the peak of what you're looking for, but flowing in between the poses and really finding inner strength and looking at the moments of transition between the poses and what that feels like. So we'll be working on some balance poses and some strength building and really looking at our transitions. So we'll start today in a child's pose. I will invite you before we get started to make sure you have anything that you might need for your class today. So you might want a blanket just to support your knees on the floor if they tend to be a little sensitive against the ground. You might want a strap to be able to bring your legs closer to your arms at some points. And you might want a block to prop your foot up on or to support, bring the earth up a little closer to you in some poses. You can use, instead of a strap, you can use a scarf or a belt or a dog leash or a bathrobe tie, whatever you have that can be stretched a little bit. And then for blocks, you can use boxes, you can use shoe boxes. We won't be putting them underneath ourselves today. So cookbooks, dictionaries, phone books, if they still make those. Anything that's kind of solid and can help bring the earth up to you is available as an option if you don't have blocks, which many people don't. So I will invite you to have those nearby and ready to use in case you want to use them for a variation of a pose. So we'll get started today in child's pose. Bring your knees as wide as the mat and our big toes to touch. And here, if you'd like to put a pillow or a rolled up blanket or a block under your hips to support your low back, feel free to do that. And then when you feel comfortable, just stretch your hands out long, lower your forehead, your third eye to the mat, and just relax here. Just take a moment to notice how your body's feeling today at this moment of change and transition. And many people are beginning to send their children back to school or start online learning. When people are preparing for what needs to get done before the end of the year. When everybody's thinking about what's coming next, just take a moment to see how you feel this moment of transition and change in your body. Notice how your breath feels. Notice if you can feel your heart beating. Notice your emotions and what you're feeling, both physically, mentally, spiritually. Let's take one big breath here, feeling all the way up to the top of our shoulder tips. And let it go through your mouth. On your next inhale, walk your fingertips over to the right. Rest here, bringing some space into your left side body, noticing how it's feeling today. And an inhale, come back through center and walk your hands off to the left, bringing space and openness into your right side body, noticing how this side feels today. Noticing if there are any differences between either side. Not judging that, just noticing and observing that. Inhale, come back through center and come up onto your hands and knees into a tabletop pose. If you like here, this is a moment that you can put a blanket under your knees if you need a little bit of cushion here, especially because we're going to be going onto one leg. So just take care of your knees if that's what they need today. Make sure your hands are under your shoulders, shoulder width apart, your knees are under your hips. We'll just take a couple cat-cows here. So inhaling, dropping your belly, lifting your heart, lifting the crown of your head. Exhaling, rounding, squeezing your stomach muscles in, rounding up between your shoulders and tucking your head in. Inhaling, arching your back, lifting your tailbone and your crown towards each other. Exhaling, bringing your navel to your spine, your chin to your chest, the back of your heart towards the ceiling. One more time. Inhaling, opening your heart, opening your chest. And exhaling, lifting the back of your heart up, opening that to the sky. Inhale back through center. Maybe just take a couple bends towards the side to open up your side body. And we'll start off from a neutral place now again with our first balancing pose of the day. So lifting your right leg straight out behind you, making sure your hips are flat. You can check to make sure that both hips are facing the floor. Your leg not too high, just about hip length, hip height from the floor. And then if you feel comfortable, you can lift your left arm. And feel a long line of energy from your heel and your right foot to the tips of your left fingers. Bringing your navel towards your spine to support that core work here. And then taking your strap, if you need it, loop the strap around your right foot and start to kick back with your right foot, opening up your left shoulder at the same time. Or if you can reach your foot, you can take a hold of it from the inside and similarly kick your right foot out, open up the shoulders on your left side. Keep grounding down through that right hand and that left knee. Keep bringing your navel up towards your spine. And then with control, slowly transition back into our spinal balance, bringing your hand and arm back into alignment, and then slowly lower back down, finding the earth, noticing how your right and left sides feel after that first side. And then when you're ready, stretch your left leg out behind you, keeping your hips parallel to the floor. And when you're ready, lift your right arm. If you're comfortable, you don't have to take this variation. You can keep your hand on the floor. You can lift it forward, keeping your hips facing the earth, keeping your navel reaching towards your low back, and keeping your neck long, not crunching anything, just finding energy here. Finding some warmth building in your core, in your arms and your legs. And then, using your strap again, If you'd like, you can loop your left foot through there and start to kick it away from you to open up your right shoulder. Or if you want to take a hold of your foot with your hand from the inside, again, keeping your hips facing forward, kick your foot into your hands, open your chest up, open your heart, without dumping in your lower back, keeping that lower back supported, and grounding into the earth with your left hand. And then with control, letting go, slowly and with control, transitioning back into the spinal balance. Finding a moment here, a little bit more strength, and then letting both hands and knees come down to the earth. And again, just notice how this feels. We're going to slowly walk back and come into a really soft ragdoll position, standing with your hips your feet a comfortable distance apart. That could be hips distance, it could be a little narrower, a little wider, depending on your frame. Really let your head drop here. You can take a hold of opposite arm with opposite elbow. You can sway. Just noticing how your body's feeling today. You can straighten one leg and then the other. And then when you're ready, let everything go. And slowly, with control, roll up to a standing position, vertebra by vertebra, letting your head be the last thing that comes up. Stepping to the top of your mat here, we'll take just a couple rounds, just a sun salutation on each side. A variation that I don't often do, but which feels really good for opening up your hips. So finding your mountain pose here at the front of your mat. See if you can feel each toe finding the earth, rooting into the ground while your crown reaches up like the branches of a tree waving in the breeze. Your arms strong and beside you. And inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, fold forward with knees as bent or straight as they need to be. Exhaling down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale and step your right foot back. Opening up that hip. You can let the knee come to the floor. Again, you need a blanket here. Make sure that you're supporting your knees. And then look up. Rise up with your arms. Exhale, come back down. Step back to a downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward. Bring your knee down, your left knee down. Reach up with your arms. Exhale, bring both arms back to the earth. And this is a moment where you can always use the blocks to bring the earth up a little closer to you, especially when you're moving in and out of these very low lunges. You can step back here, come into downward facing dog. You can use blocks, or you can bring your hands to the earth, see how you feel. And then inhale, come forward into a plank pose. And you can either lower your knees and then keeping your torso flat and straight in a nice supported long line, you can lower your elbows all the way down. Or if you want to take chaturanga, roll over your wrists and the tops of your toes, lower halfway down. Either way will meet in a cobra or an upward facing dog. And then roll back into downward facing dog. Step forward with your right foot, drop your left knee, rise up, and come back down. Step forward to the top of your mat, folding forward in a forward fold, seeing how your hamstrings feel. And then with a flat back, rise up, reaching up all the way, and come back with your hands to your heart in a mountain pose. And we'll do that on the other side. Inhale all the way up, reach up. Exhale, fold forward, hands coming towards the earth, knees, shins, whatever feels good. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, step back with your left leg, bringing that left knee to the floor. Rise up. Exhale, fold forward. Step back into a downward facing dog. Inhale, step forward with that left leg, right knee down. Rise up. You can always stay here if the back bend feels good. You can reach back a little bit. Exhale, forward. Step back into plank. Either lower your knees and then your torso, or lower your torso all the way down. Flip over onto the tops of your feet. Rise up into a cobra, keeping your elbows in, or an upward facing dog. And press back into downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left leg forward. Bring your right knee down. Reach up with your arms. Exhale, hands to the earth. With control, focusing on that transition, step forward into a forward fold. And then rise up with a flat back. And find your hands again at a heart center. From here, we're going to take a series of standing postures. So I'm going to come and face you here. You can stay at the top of your mat. So bringing the weight into your left leg, start to pick up your right leg, and we're going to come into tree pose. So if this is something that you're working on, if balance especially is something that you're working on, you can keep your foot here on the floor. You can always use a block or a book and bring your toes to that if you want to work a little bit more on balance. Or you can bring your foot to your shin to try standing on just one leg. Or you can bring it all the way up to the very top of your thighs. Just make sure you're not resting it on your knee at all because we want to protect that joint. Try to see if your hips are level. You may need to bump them out a little bit to the side. And then you can bring your hands to your heart and just feel each toe of your left foot grounding into the earth, like roots growing and supporting you. Your right foot is pressing into your left thigh, but your left thigh is pressing back against your right foot. You can find a place on the ground or on the vista in front of you. Find a spot that's not moving and focus on that. It's called a drishti, and that helps us maintain balance. Wherever you are in this tree pose, think about what the trees are doing this time of year, dropping all the fruits of summer and shedding the leaves they don't need anymore for winter. And find if that applies to you in some way. Is there something that you're harvesting in your life? Is there something that you can shed that you don't need? It's not serving you. Inhale, bring that knee facing forward, and we're going to come into eagle pose. So cross the right leg over the left. You can leave that foot on the ground and sink down into there. You can pick it up and wrap it around your left leg, or you can bind it by wrapping that right foot around the left ankle. Just sink down into this pose. You can keep your hands at heart center, We're really grounding down here. Or if you want, you can wrap the right arm under the left. You can give yourself a hug like this. Or you can bring the backs of your hands together. Or you can bring the palms of your hands together. Just sink down a little bit more, finding those roots in the earth. And then wherever your arms are, bring them back to heart center. Unwrap your right leg with control, leaving it where it is. And we're going to come into a warrior three. So I'm going to turn so you can see me. And slowly bring that right leg out behind you. And it might be here. It might even be on the earth if you need some support for balance. So find what works for you. Find the balance in your life that you need. Eventually, you work towards a 90-degree angle with both hips facing the earth, not open, facing down. Hands can be on the hips for balance. You can have them at heart center. You can reach them out long in front of you. Just try to find a long line of energy here. Inhale, and then as you exhale, slowly with control, focusing on this transition, bring the right foot down, coming into a crescent lunge. Stepping down softly. And breathing here. Feeling both feet rooting into the earth. And the branches of your fingers reaching up towards the sky. Inhale here. And again, focusing on this transition, focusing on how your body feels and the balance in this transition. Step onto your left leg. Keep your left hand high. Bring your right arm down. See if you can take a hold of your right foot with your right hand. If you can't reach your foot with your hand, that's okay. Again, that's what we have the strap for. So just wrap the strap around your right foot and hold on to it with your right hand. Wherever you are, start to kick that foot into the right foot, into the right hand, but keeping both of your hips facing forward. Again, you might find this might be your dancer pose, or depending on your balance, just make sure this transition is really strong. Don't force anything. Just kick that out as far as you can. Finding balance, playing with your relationship to the earth and gravity. See what works on this side today. And when you're ready, bring it back down, let it go. Bring both arms up, reaching for the sky. And exhale, bringing your hands back down. Finding Tadasana, noticing the difference between each foot, between the legs, between the arms. Feeling where the energy in your body is moving, where there's warmth. Doug is destroying cardboard under the couch. That is one of the things that brings him great joy in life. And use this time to think about, for you, what brings you joy. We'll take that on the other side. So again, I'll turn to face you, but you can stay where you are. Bring the weight into your right foot. And you can start with your hands on your hips if that helps for balance. And you can keep that foot on the ground. You can put it on a block. You can put it on your shin. Or you can bring it up. Maybe with your hands, help tuck it into the top of your right thigh. And this side might be different from the other side. So just notice where you are on this side. Notice if your hip has lifted up, if you need to lower it a little bit. Again, feel all the toes on your right foot. Feel how all of those toes and the sole of your foot against the earth is making a million little micro adjustments a minute to keep you standing up, to help you find balance in the world. Feel the right quadriceps engaged, pressing into the left foot pressing back. Also equal and opposite energy pressing towards each other in a balance. And that left knee opening towards the side. Find your drishti, find your point that's not moving. But again, think about the trees at this time. They're in a transition, they're changing their colors, they're dropping their leaves, they're letting go of what isn't going to serve them in the coming season and conserving what will serve them. They're not expending energy in any unnecessary areas like those leaves that are going to get frozen. They're taking care of their trunk, they're taking care of their branches, they're taking care of their roots. They're really investing in what is most important to them. Let go of that front leg and cross it over. Again, you can put your left toes on the ground. You can bring them up, or you can wrap them all the way around your right ankle. Anywhere that you are in this pose is fine. Just find a point where you can sink down and find balance. And notice that balance is not a single static point. It's a million little transitions and adjustments constantly, one way swinging and swinging the other way and trying to find an equilibrium. But there's no static point of equilibrium. It's a constant dance. Sink down a little bit deeper. And then when you're ready, trying not to bring that foot to the ground. I'm going to turn sideways. You can stay where you are. Coming into a warrior three. Again, this can be close to the ground. You want your head and your heel to be like a vertical line. So it can be a more tall line or it can be a longer line. You just want to be a line. If you want to try coming parallel to the earth, you can have your hands out in front of you, at the heart, behind you. Whoop. Again, finding your balance and seeing how that feels on this side, on this day. And then rising up with control, bending into that right leg, slowly transitioning, setting those toes down softly, coming into a crescent lunge. Feeling the relief of 2 feet on the earth, helping you to find balance. Feeling the heat in that leg that's been working. Feeling the stretch in the back leg. In yoga, we always have a balance. So we have one leg bent and one leg stretching. We have a forward motion and a backward motion. We're always finding an equilibrium between opposing forces. Step onto that right leg with control, focusing on your transition. And then you can drop your left arm to find your left toes. Or you can loop the strap around your left foot and find the strap with your left hand. And then begin to kick that left foot out to whatever degree is comfortable today. Not going too far, but noticing how you feel on this side. Rooted into the earth with that right foot, reaching towards the sky with those left toes, kicking it back, opening your shoulders, opening your heart. And when you're ready, with control, noticing all the little movements in that transition, bring your left foot down. Rise up with both hands. And exhale, coming back into Tadasana. Noticing how each leg, each foot, each hip feels now that you've done both sides. Maybe one side feels different, maybe now you feel balanced. Just noticing how you feel, not judging it, just observing. From the top of your mat, you can reach up and then fold forward with a flat back, coming down again into ragdoll. And then walk your feet back into downward facing dog. Don't worry, we're coming in to do some nice stretches now. Lifting up your right leg and stepping it to the outside of your right hand. Coming into lizard pose. And you can drop your left knee. You can keep your toes tucked or bring the top of your knee to the toes to the floor. Keeping that right knee near your right shoulder. And just take a moment here in lizard pose, opening the left hip and opening the right hip, but in a different way. Flexing into it, opening the back of it. On the left side, we're opening the front of it. Finding that equilibrium between extension and flexion. And then walk your right foot across towards your left hand. Bring your knee down, and you can tuck in your foot as much as you need for that knee to feel comfortable. Coming into a pigeon pose. And if you'd like, you can put that blanket under your right hip, or you can put a pillow under your right hip to support it so that both your hips are facing forward. So you're not falling off to one side, but you're really facing forward. And again, if you need to tuck your toes in more or less, whatever feels good to your knee. And then you can fall forward, you can walk your hands forward, you can come down to any level that feels good on your hip today. Opening up the back of that glute that we just really worked to support us. And that muscle serves to stabilize us. And when it's weak, it's much harder to stabilize. And when it's strong, it really helps help us keep balance and find our grounding. And that's true for our practices in life as well. When we don't practice balance, it seems hard at first. And then when we find the things that keep us stable, that keep us grounded, it really makes finding balance much easier. You can walk your hands back up, press into them, tuck your left toes, and then, this is our last push for transition and balance. See if in one strong motion, without dropping that right knee, you can pick that right foot up off the ground, bring it back into a three-legged dog, and then drop it all the way down into a downward facing dog. And then on your next inhale, we do the reverse. So lift your left leg up and focusing on this transition, putting your foot down whenever you need to, and eventually ending up with the left foot outside the left hand. Sinking down into that hip, opening the right hip, dropping the right knee to the floor. Keeping that left knee near your left shoulder. Feeling the flexion in that left hip while you feel that right hip opening up towards the front. Opening up these nice hip flexors So our major stabilizers for our body. Finding some equilibrium here and noticing the different sensations that you feel in each hip. And then when you're ready, you can walk that left foot over to your right hand. Put the knee on the ground, coming into pigeon. And again, you can bring the foot as close to your right hip as you need. This feels good for your left glute. You can put something, if you're really high off the ground here, you can put block or cushion to support that, so you can really let go in your stretch. Just making sure your hips are facing forward and you're really on top of your hips. And then you can walk your hands forward, coming in to a sleeping pigeon if that feels good, or any level of supported pigeon that really helps you to open up that hip. Breathing into areas that feel really intense. Trying to find some balance of space and breath, even in that intense sensation. Noticing if this side feels any different than the other side. And that doesn't have to mean anything. It's just an observation of where your body is today. When you're ready, walk your hands back up. Tuck your right toes, press into your hands. Lift that left foot and knee, stretch it out behind you. Come into downward dog. And then you can come into a child's pose. Once again, bringing your toes together, your knees to the sides, your forehead towards the earth. And notice how this child pose, if it feels different from when you started the beginning of class. And notice how your body feels. Notice where the energy is moving. If your heart is beating. Notice the quality of your breath. When you're ready, walk your hands back up. Come sit on your right hip. Bring your left foot next to your right thigh. Make sure you're grounding down into both sit bones. Inhale, reach both arms up. And exhale, bring your left hand out behind you. And your right hand can be on your right foot, on your right knee. You can tuck your right hand onto your right knee. Breathe deeply into this twist, which helps bring balance to our spine. It eliminates, by rotating on this axis, it eliminates some of the curves and helps us to wring out some of those creaky areas in our joints. And come back to center. And then you can swap your legs, so coming to sit on your left thigh, your right foot next to your left thigh, but both sitting bones finding the earth. Inhale and exhale, bring your right hand behind you, twisting from the very base of your sit bones all the way up through your neck, and the very bottom of your spine to the very, very top. And your left hand can be on your knee, on your foot, hooking your elbow. Rotating our spine in the other direction, finding the sensations on this side, just noticing. Inhale back through center. Bring both your feet to the ground, and with control, this is our last transition, slowly rolling all the way down to the earth, noticing where your body wants to let go, noticing where it wants to skip the steps, slowly finding all the way down to the earth, bringing your knees to your chest, giving yourself a little hug, and then letting your knees fall off to the left. You can bring your left hand on top of your right knee. You can stretch your right arm out, look towards it with your eyes. You can bring it into a goalpost shape, whatever feels good today on your spine. Twisting out deeply into those muscles, into those organs which do so much work for us. Inhale back up through center and let them fall off to the right. Again, reaching your left hand out to the side, looking to the left, breathing deeply and wringing out those muscles and those organs, which, like the earth, are absorbing nutrients, giving us the fruit of that work, and then eliminating, letting fall to the earth the bits that we don't need anymore. You can come back through center. Take a happy baby if you like. Bring your knees out to the sides. You can hold on to your knees. You can hold on to your big toes with your first two fingers. You can rock from side to side if that feels good. You can find stillness if that feels good. Again, noticing what serves you, what nourishes you, holding on to that, giving yourself more of that, and letting go of excess, letting go of exhaustion, letting go of the things that you don't need. When you're ready, stretch your legs out long, let them feet fall open. You can tuck your shoulder blades onto your back. Let your hands face the sky and just let go. Let go of everything. Let go of your breath. Let go of the focus on transitions. Just let your body absorb all of the work that we've done here today. If you have more time for your Shavasana, I invite you to stay here for another 3 to 5 minutes to really absorb. I hope that when you are ready and you rise, you take a moment to think and appreciate your body and express gratitude to it for all of the ways that it works to keep us balanced throughout our day and our life. And as you go forward today, and as we all go into this season of shorter days, colder days, a season that can be hard for many, even if it has many exciting moments, that you take time to really think about those stabilizing muscles of your life the routines and the rituals and the things that you offer yourself for care and for comfort that really help you stay grounded and to take care of yourself physically and mentally and emotionally. It's been a very tumultuous year for many reasons. It's been a year of transition for the whole world. And as we transition now into this new season, I hope that you can take a moment to reflect and make some plans about how you will take care of yourself and what things you can set out now that will come to fruition and support you in this new season as we move forward. I hope as you move forward with your day or your evening, you can offer yourself compassion, love, and acceptance. And I really want to thank you for practicing with me today. Thank you.